Hey guys, today I'd like to talk to you about the full moon approaching that will be happening this Thursday on May the 7th. It is the May full moon, obviously, and otherwise known as the flower full moon. And I'd like to talk a bit about why it's called the flower full moon, what are some of the energies we can be working with and we can expect to see at this time, and just how we as witches can honour this flower full moon this year. So first I want to dive right into why it's called the flower full moon specifically. So it's called the flower full moon because in May we are getting an abundance of flowers after the April rains, interspersed with the lovely warm weather that I'm sure a lot of you have been experiencing and enjoying. It doesn't take much to just be able to look all around you and see the flowers all around at this time and realise why it's called the flower full moon. It's kind of common sense really. But basically what this means is the flowers represent the manifestations of the seeds that we planted earlier in the year around April, Ostara, spring equinox, and those seeds really growing and blossoming into something beautiful. So when we're talking about the flower full moon in May, we're talking about a really invigorating time to make sure you're continuing to take action to ensure that the seeds you planted and the goals you set out for yourself continue to flourish and grow and thrive. So the full moon this month will be number 3 in the little trio of super full moons that we've had. The first one was in March, the second one was in April, and this, of course, the last one of the year, is in May. And as I said in my last full moon video, which was also a super moon basically just means that the moon appears bigger and brighter because it's at an angle in the sky where it's closest to the Earth at this time of year. So we are still in Taurus season, which, as I said in my Taurus video, is a lot about the physicality of life and the physicality of beauty and pleasures and being practical, but also having an indulgent side as well. And we've also, as we all know, just gone through Beltane, the Sabbat celebrating fertility, life, love, creativity. And so all of these go quite hand in hand with the sensuality of Taurus. And this full moon is really interesting because it's bringing about a new energy. It's the energy of Scorpio. This full moon will be occurring in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is very much a sign of mysteries, and it's also a water sign, so it's almost like mysterious emotions coming up. And what this might mean for us is that we might get a hidden sudden insight on something that we thought was hidden to us might be brought to light because we've got that energy of Scorpio in the full moon, really digging deep with the mysteries, the inner mysteries of our hearts and our lives. You might even have something revealed to you that you might not have previously known, that can help you figure out how to move forward in order to continue nourishing these seeds that we planted earlier in the year. As I said with the flower moon, flowers are what symbolise the beauty and joy of your goals manifesting. So if you need any help with accomplishing these goals and you feel like there's just been something on the edge of your mind that you're not quite sure how to proceed or move forward with this full moon in Scorpio might be the moment that something finally clicks with you and you have that aha kind of moment. Especially because as people we often find a big surge in emotion and a big surge in our instinctual abilities and our intuitive abilities around the full moon time. It really brings those qualities to the fore. So you might be looking at some really powerful, deep insights that you hadn't considered before that can help you to move forward into the year. Now, in terms of the other planets, Mercury will be in a sextile aspect to Neptune while this full moon is going on. So Mercury is the planet of communication, being able to communicate with ease, use technology to communicate things like that. And Neptune is the planet of emotions and dreams and very much spirituality. So with those two planets combined, and particularly in sextile aspect to each other, sextile is a very harmonious aspect. It's a very positive aspect between these two planets. And so during this full moon, that energy will be amplified, and you might expect to see people being very compassionate towards each other in a way that you might not have expected, communicating in ways that are full of love and understanding and have a kind of dreamy quality to it almost. So with this full moon, we could really be heading towards a lot of people suddenly waking up spiritually, suddenly being filled with compassion, and I think that's a really great thing. As we're in this difficult time of COVID-19, we can all seek to reach out and help our communities, even just through being the ear that listens while someone is going through a hard time and wants to talk about their problems. Now, as if all of that didn't sound lovely enough, when you consider Wiccan beliefs, we're talking about the full moon being the mother goddess archetype, as I've said a few times before in my other moon videos. We're talking about the full moon representing the full pregnant belly, and especially as we're now immediately after basically, the Sabbat of Beltane, when, according to ancient law, the goddess would have conceived a child with the god when they performed the great rite on that day. So that goddess archetype connected to the wheel of the year would now be on her way to motherhood, as the seeds of the world continue to thrive and blossom, with the flowers all around her, the flower moon. You've got very flowery, blossomy, nurturing energy around, as our goals for the year that we set out around Aries time, the spring equinox, continue to be nurtured by us and hopefully continue to flourish as well. So all signs point to this full moon being very positive and nurturing and containing lots of lovely energies to it, especially as it's a supermoon. All of these qualities that I said about will be amplified a lot more than they would with any other full moon at any other time in the year. And this is the last supermoon we will be getting this year, the last in the series of 3. So this full moon, I think, is really worth taking advantage of, I suppose, and seeing what you can do to harness the energy of the moon at this time. So you may be thinking, okay, that sounds cool, but what are some things that I can practically do in the physical world to honour this full moon? As a witch, we like to bring the spiritual energies of the world into physical actions that we do and connect it all together. So idea number 1 of what you could do is by creating moon water, which again I've talked about in my other full moon videos, which basically involves getting a clear, preferably glass jar, leave it out overnight in the moonlight, and allow the water inside to absorb the energy of the moon's rays, basically. And once this water has been touched by the moonlight and is now officially moon water, you can store that for later use. And I think that's such a good idea because there are a huge number of uses that you can have for moon water later on down the line, well past that full moon happening. For instance, if you created moon water at this time, it would very likely contain the energies of harmony and friendship and love, nurturing, all those qualities that I said about earlier. That moon water would contain that vibe within it, as water is a conduit and something that channels the energy of whatever flows into it, essentially. That gives you a lot of potential for spell work. For instance, you can use it in a spray and in future spray your room with it, and almost like an alternative to saging, your room would then be filled with those harmonious energies that this full moon brings. You can also use it for cups of tea, or you can use it in ice cubes, or you can use it in bath water. Anything like that that utilizes water, you can pour your moon water into, and then whatever you're pouring it into will create those qualities that the full moon had at this time. So very powerful, lots of things you can do spell-wise, utilizing the energy of the full moon at this time. Another way you could connect with the full moon's energy is by simply bathing yourself in the moonlight for a bit, just standing outside, feeling the moonlight on your face and on your body, and basically just absorbing all of that goodness into your body and using it to fuel you in the days that are to come. No doubt the challenges of our particular time that we're facing aren't all over yet, so anything that gives you that little bit of extra strength is definitely something that I'm sure would help. The third idea I have is to use it to charge your crystals. If your crystals are feeling a bit heavy energetically, perhaps you've used them a lot for different spells, held them a lot, that could mean that they are due an energy clear out, and the full moonlight is really good for resetting that energy and bringing it back to a neutral state. However, as this full moon has such nurturing, harmonious, compassionate energies to it, I think particularly stones like rose quartz, moonstone, or amethyst would particularly benefit from the energies of this particular full moon, as rose quartz is associated with love and compassion, moonstone is associated with spirituality, water, and everything to do with the moon basically, and amethyst is also a stone of dreams, compassion, and spirituality. So with the spiritual influence of Neptune going on at the time of the full moon, these crystals in particular I think would really do well to be charged at this time. Another idea is by leaving your tarot cards or oracle decks outside in the moonlight to charge them. Again, with overuse, tarot cards and oracle decks can get a little bit muddy energetically just from all of the other times that you've used them, and it can make readings less accurate and less clear. You would have less clarity with those. So it's really important also that you reset your decks energetically, and as I said, leaving it out in the full moonlight is a great way to do that. just leave it out overnight. It doesn't have to be outside, just anywhere where the moonlight will hit them, and that should reset them and have them nice and accurate for you to work with next time. One last thing to say is just that I think that the energy of the goddess will be very strong for this full moon. We're in the season of Taurus, which is a feminine sign. Full moon is in Scorpio, which is a water sign, so lots of emotions. Flowers obviously are quite feminine. We've got a lot of goddesses of flowers and things blossoming and stuff like that, as well as the idea of the triple moon goddess in Wicca. So what I've done for this full moon is I've actually created this little resin statue, and I'm going to be having her in a prominent place so that I can reflect on the goddess at this time and really let those healing energies of the full moon be channeled into my life. I'll probably leave her out overnight with the full moon as well, just so that she can soak up its rays. And yeah, so that's basically all I had to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this, and leave a comment down below describing how you're planning to celebrate the full moon this week, the flower full moon, what it means to you. Once again, thank you all so much for your support, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Blessed be everyone.